Welcome to The Gorgeous Effect. I'm Julie Chenell, and with my co-founder, Cathy Olson, we're about to drop some serious tea on how to create funnels that not only look amazing, but actually convert into customers. It's time to show the world what you've got. Let's do this. Hey everyone, welcome back to The Gorgeous Effect. This is Julie, and I'm here with Cathy. And today we're talking about financial transparency in the online marketing space. I think it's a juicy topic.
Juicy. I don't even know what you're going to say, so it's juicy to me too. This is actually Julie's idea. Finally, Julie has an idea for a topic. So I have no idea what you're going to say. The roles are reversed.
Yeah, I know. Usually Cathy is the podcast idea queen. No, I think, just to kind of set the stage of what I want to discuss, it's this concept of being financially transparent to your audience about how much money you're making. And I think the original sort of popularization of this started back in the blogging days, where people would do these monthly income reports and talk about how much money they were making. We see it on TikTok a lot. People do like how much money I made doing XYZ, or how much I'm paying down my debt. And in most recent days, Jessie Jean, who sold $1 bajillion, no exaggeration, of the App Challenge, kind of upended the status quo by being really transparent about how much she made. And I want to talk about the pros, the cons, the ups, the downs of that strategy as a content strategy in general.
Yeah, because I don't think it's for everyone. So like we need to put some gates or boundaries around the people who shouldn't be doing this, because or like maybe if you don't feel comfortable, do you have to do it? I guess there's the two things.
Well, of course. And not only are there people that maybe don't feel comfortable, but then there's the whole school of people that selectively share, where they only share the highlight reel. And then they don't share like, okay, I made $5 million, but it cost me $6 million to make it. And I think that also blurs the landscape. I can talk about my financial transparency journey because I have one. Do you have one? I don't know if this was ever something you did.
No, it's funny, but it's funny that you bring this up today because I was actually thinking about this after I dropped off my kids to school. I was thinking like, behind the scenes of launches and how we used to share a bunch about launches and stuff like that. And then I started thinking like, should I be telling people how much money I make every month? But then I'm like, but it's kind of like not, for me, it's not something I think I could and or want to share because it's like, it's not just me by myself. I'm
The
in Funnel
company, yeah.
Gorgeous. Yeah, it's company information. So there's like a weird level of like, I would feel comfortable if I was like doing like a solo offer and I'm like, here's how much I sold. But when it comes to like financial comfort, company information, I'm like, I don't even think, number one, I don't think that'd be interesting even, right?
It loses some of its like juicy gossip when it's a company finance.
So then I was like, I don't even think so. I see all these people sharing income, and I don't even know that that's even a route that I would want to go. So when you ask me that question of like, do I have financial transparency? I think I did when I was solo launching, and
Yeah.
and also we did because of Funnel Gorgeous. But as soon as like my business got like kind of like I basically shuttered my business and then it kind of all went into the Funnel Gorgeous one is when I stopped talking about money.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Outside of like personally, right?
Right.
And I've
Exactly.
never
Yeah.
talked about financially, like anything remotely. I've never, ever, ever talked about, getting out of debt or paying this or taxes or not. I never have talked about that at all. So I would say,
I
yeah, I'm
mean, you've
not.
hinted on it sometimes in your Instagram stories, but not in
Yeah.
any like official way.
Yeah, and it's funny because I actually had an Instagram story this morning where I was like, we had a really good month. Should I spend it on smart things or should I spend it on fun things? And and asking people like that. So there, yeah, I have a little bit of questions and stuff out there, but you're right. I think I would be on the other side of being more
Yeah.
protective of that information for several reasons. Whereas you, I feel like have been pretty. But again, I think because you have solo offers, you talk about digital insiders money. You don't necessarily talk about Funnel Gorgeous money
Right.
as
Right.
much. So I
Yeah.
think there's so much to that, so much nuance to that, but it is good that we're kind of on both sides.
I used to be incredibly transparent, pre-funnel gorgeous, pre-FG funnels, very, very transparent. And then I stopped. And I notice this happens a lot with content creators and more expansive gurus because there's a point at which a target becomes a nice little bullseye gets on your back. And all of a sudden, talking about money sounds just out of touch. And for me, there were a couple of things that happened that really abruptly stopped this. Number one, I remember writing about my home, purchasing my home in 2021 and getting like this really nasty email back from someone. And I just felt like humiliated, like maybe I stepped out of line. The second thing that happened was I had someone try to blackmail me and someone who is deeply knowledgeable of my financial status and my life attempt to blackmail me, and I had to get the police involved. The third thing that happened was my kids started to grow up and they started to be on social media in a way where they were they could hear this stuff. And it wasn't like that I was hiding it from them. It was just, it just added complexity. And then the fourth thing that happened is I got divorced. That's right. I got divorced. And at that point, talking about finances started to feel like I was going to expose myself to things that I didn't want exposing. So I think the stopping of me talking about how much money I was making was legitimate. I mean, I had a lot of things stacking up there that were like, yeah, Julie, maybe you should go down in a hole. And I've been trying to like get a little bit more transparent again because I think some of it was smart and I think some of it was fear-based. But I'm always trying to think like what's helpful to the audience. I mean, I love that Jessie shares the numbers. I mean, I am so nosy and she always says that like you're nosy, I'm nosy. And she's just amazingly transparent. So part of me thinks that people want to know that stuff about me too, but does it become like an annoying thing at some point where you're just like, oh my God, just shut up already, And I don't really know the answer to that.
Yeah, well, I do think it's a little bit kind of what I sort of hinted at, I guess, in the beginning of like when your income or the numbers affect more than just you. So I think
Right.
that's almost like what you were circling around, right? It was like now it's almost like a security risk, right? Of like with my family or, getting the divorce or like whatever. Like when it becomes more than just you sharing your like little piece of whatever is when you start to go, okay, well,
Start
actually
to
I have
second guess. Yeah. Is this really a
right.
good
And so
idea? Yeah.
so I think that's where you became more uncomfortable with it is when it started to affect more than just you. I think
Yeah.
when you're smaller and especially if you're a solopreneur, you're not really affecting too much, but I think there's, even when they're small, I think, but okay, so I want to say the positive side of it. Like what's psychologically happening and why do we want to know these things?
I
And I
mean,
yeah, I
I
think it's
love it.
like I know, right? Like, why do we want to know this? I think there's the positive side is it shows people what's possible, right? Of like,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, like I could actually do this, right? So there's
Yep.
all that, like kind of growing up, raising up the next generation or whatever, and showing people what's possible. I also think it's helpful to see the real numbers, like you said, to say, well, I also spent, I made
Yeah. This is
whatever.
what I spent to
Yeah, I
make
made $10,000
XYZ.
this month. I spent 7,000, or whatever.
Yeah.
I think is really helpful to give people like a thing. But I also think just from, I don't know, a human standpoint, we love a good, rags to riches, reluctant hero like story. Like we want to root you on. And if you don't tell us what's happening, it's hard for us to like humanize you in a way. So I
Mm.
saw someone talking about it's like their fitness journey or something, and they're like, and I was like, why did talking about that fitness journey? Why was I not rooting for her? Like, because let's just take it out of like money. Why was I not rooting for her? It's
Oh,
because
wait.
she
So you
did.
weren't rooting for her when she was
No,
telling it?
no, not like I was like wanting her to fail, but she was like taking us along in this fitness journey, and I was like, what is it different about this story she's telling us versus the ones where we're like invested? And I realized it's
Mm.
because she wasn't telling us the details. So she basically was like, I was talking about, this fitness journey where she's trying to get in shape or whatever, but she was just like, it's going well, guys. And then that was it. Or it's not going so well, but there was no details for us to sink our teeth into. And so I think when the same way, if someone's in a launch and they're like, it's going really well, we're like, okay, versus like, I sold $1,245.67 yesterday, whatever. And you're like, okay, like there's something really about the depth of the knowledge of like now we really are in it with you. So we know your numbers and you're like, I got this many clicks. Like if you think we think about Jessie G, like she was like, there's this many people signed up. There's this
Yeah.
many people talking about. There's this much money. And so there's something about that level of detail that we feel like is we're there with them, like able
Yeah,
to live
you can
it.
feel it differently when there's
Yeah.
detail than when it's just like broad strokes.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is like, I mean, because I was working on Jesse's emails in that second launch, I was like scrolling like it was my job every day, looking for people talking about the app challenge. And I would say 85% of it was positive. There was a good 15% of it. And when you think about the virality of what she was going through, 15% is a lot of people shit talking her too. So like, even if it's a rags to riches story, even if you're fully transparent and you say the details, you don't just do broad strokes, people are going to be mad. Like there's no way to do it without people being mad or people misunderstanding or people, attaching some story to you that's not true. So if you don't want that, then don't do it.
Well, it's also not the only way to be successful. So I think that's one, like, we're talking about one piece of the puzzle of being transparent. It's not the only way to have a successful launch, right? It's like, it's one of the ways, and several people are using it. It's one tool. But there are a lot of people making money without being on social media, and they're still being very private. They don't tell any of their, husbands or kids' names and give out their ad. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
Yeah. Yeah.
if you are like allergic to the conversation we're having right now, that is okay. We're not saying this is for everybody, but I agree with you. It's growing in popularity and we can't ignore something that is working really well.
True. And I tend towards wanting to be more transparent. Like
Mhm.
me in the finances. I'm very transparent about a lot of things. Like
Yeah.
I'm known for that in my brand. But it's been a long time since I've given like an income report or talked about a launch or expenses. And I still just have a lot of residue over, but just fear. And watching some of these people be really transparent has encouraged me because I do really
Mhm.
enjoy that content. I don't get jealous about it. I just enjoy looking at the numbers and I do wonder if it would be beneficial. But is there ever like I don't know, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you ever feel like when you talk about the money you're making to the audience that's helping you make money, doesn't that feel weird sometimes? Like, thanks for spending money with me. Here's all the money I made. I like it. I don't know. That part is hard to me. I mean, Jesse did a beautiful job with it. Like, I
Mhm.
never felt that way at all. In fact, I was like ready to like give her money. I was her coach and I was buying it. So like I didn't feel that way towards somebody else, but I always worry that people are going to feel that way towards me.
It's totally true, and I will tell you the exact difference is in the way that you receive it, and it's the humbleness. Because I've seen also people be like, I just made millions or whatever, and almost like laughing about it. Like, look
Mm.
how dumb these people are. Like there's something in you that is giving off like almost like an ungratefulness of,
Or
but
better
whereas I
than, I
feel
don't
like
know.
no, yeah, I feel like Jessie Jean was very humble and because I don't know if you guys ever know if you noticed this, but every time she would mention money or people buying, it would immediately be like, I don't know what the word is when you like damper something as soon as you say it. Like I know there's like a name for that. It's
Well,
almost like a
there was always gratitude. Like, thank you so much for making this possible.
yeah, it was as soon as she would say a success, she'd be like, but which by the way, you guys, oh my gosh, like I can't believe this is still happening. Like you guys are so incredible. Thank you so much. And she would even reiterate, this is for my son, for my son's future. Like every time she would say it, it would immediately flip to like, but oh my gosh, you guys, like it would almost like, I don't know, fourth wall or whatever of like it's not just the success to see the success of like whatever. It was like grounding every piece in that humility, that gratefulness of like I didn't expect this from you guys. Like this what you guys have done, like this is for you, So I think she went really intentionally every time that to make sure that it was coming from a right place. So I think as long as you have it like rooted in that like groundedness, which also makes it hard for people like us because we're not, for us to have this launch and stuff, we're like, you guys, I thought this was going to make $100. Like we obviously
Well,
don't think it's going to make $100,
yeah, I
right?
mean,
Like,
there is like when you are going and when you are going from like people don't really know who you are or they're not expecting a lot and then you make a lot, there is the element of surprise and like in
like
Jesse's case,
genuine surprise.
genuine
Like, oh my
surprise.
gosh, what
Like
how did this happen?
there was nothing manufactured or fake about it. It was like, holy crap, like what is happening right now? She was as shocked as all of us were. And in a way, we all kind of felt part of it. Like we were a part of this like cool occasion that like everyone would talk about. But yeah, once you've quote unquote made it, and Jesse may come up against this, problem. We have this problem. Once you've made it or you're already a successful company, that doesn't really work anymore. It's not, you don't get the element of surprise. You're like, okay, we anticipate we're going to make 150,000 on this launch. We made 148,000. It's like, it's just like, meh. There's no like, holy crap moment. So some of that emotion is lost once you're an established company. It's like companies are supposed to make money. If you don't make 100 grand in your launch, like what are you even doing?
Yeah.
So it changes the tone of the story, and I
I
think
do.
that's
Yeah,
another thing.
I still think there's a way to do it. Even like so if anyone's listening and they're like, well, because I always it always is weird to be like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, Jesse would be like, I'm not a professional speaker. Like, I don't really know. I barely know what I'm doing, but here you guys, here's what I did, right? And so there was that kind of apologetic, like, whereas you and I couldn't be like, I don't know anything about funnels, guys. So let's just like, like, let's see
Right,
what
right.
happens. Like, we do know, we are literally the experts. So we can't have that say. But I still think that there's a
Yeah.
transparency, there's a humbleness, and there's a clarity of detail that we could do. So, like, our version of that would be like, still day by day, we could still be like, okay, so here's what we expect. So, when you first open a launch, what usually happens is you get most of the sales in the early, whatever, and then in the middle, it's going to get slow. So, we saw the numbers doing, so we could focus on conversion rates, we could focus on like, how
Yeah.
did we pivot? What do we change? Even the planning process. How do we come up with the pricing? How do we like there's so many cool things we do on a daily basis that I think that are so much bigger than money that we could be sharing that we don't share. So like is
Yeah,
there
well,
yeah.
but there's also now a pressure when you're an expert and you're doing expert things and like what if it doesn't do well? So maybe another reason why people once they hit like the top of their field, top of the mountain, they sort of pare back because they're like, well, what if this time it doesn't work? If I'm a funnel expert and I launch a funnel and then it doesn't convert, now all of a sudden am I no longer an expert because part of my identity is expert. Whereas like in Jesse's case, she was not trying to be an expert. She was just being herself, which is, awesome. But if you've already positioned yourself as an expert and then you launch and it doesn't work, it's
Well,
risky.
what makes it scary for us is what makes it fun to watch.
True.
It's
True.
the
Yeah.
vulnerability is what makes this fun to watch. Like we don't watch something that we know is going to
The
be a happy
ending.
ending.
Yeah.
We need that plot twist. We need that, like, I don't know, is the hero going to make it? Are they going to fail spectacularly? I mean, and that's even like something you should lean into. Like, hey guys, I think this is going to work, but I actually might fall on my butt. This might be a total flop. Like that's more interesting to watch than
Yeah.
the guaranteed win. So you have to be vulnerable, I think, in that way. You have to have some level of, I don't actually know if this is going to work, but I really think it's going to, and like come along with me in order for it to be interesting, for people to be like, my show's on,
Right, right,
when they
right,
see
right.
it,
My
right?
show's on. Yeah, I know. I first saw that on TikTok. I'm like, what are people talking about? And then I was like, oh, the TikTok is the show. Okay, got it.
That's funny.
I was like slow on the uptake there. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think this is a good discussion. I don't fault anybody who wants to be private. I understand deeply. I think you want to go in eyes wide open if you share your finances transparently. I think that we both pretty much agree that if you are going to do it with some detail. Don't just like paint these broad strokes. Now, that doesn't mean you have to say how much you spend on, toiletries every month. It just means like if you're going to talk about something financial, like paint the full picture. So if we were doing it, for example, maybe we're not comfortable talking about the entire company's finances, but we are comfortable talking about this upcoming launch that we're going to do, and we're going to be really detailed about that particular thing. I think you can boundary off what you want to talk about and what you don't want to talk about.
Yeah, and especially it's interesting if it's against the grain. If ever
Yeah.
there's a time when you do something that's slightly different, please lean into that because that's the juicy stuff, right? We're like, everyone tells you to
Yeah.
do this, but we actually do it this way. I don't think I don't know, but we kind of breaking the rules, but like, and you were like, oh my gosh, yes, I want to hear, I want to hear the thing that
Yeah.
you did that nobody's doing. So especially those things, I think you should lean into.
Yeah. Oh, so it wasn't a bad idea for a talk today.
It
This
was
is actually
great.
top of mind
It's
for me. Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. If there's something you guys want us to talk about, please hit us up in the DMs anywhere. Kathy Funnels, Funnel Gorgeous, Julie Schnell. We will bring it to the mic and we will talk about it transparently. All right, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Hey, gorgeous. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. And if you're thinking, okay, but what now? We've got you. So just for listening today, we want to give you a gift. Head over to learngorgeous.com. We're going to grab some free resources, free trainings, this month's specials, and everything you need to keep going. Until next time, make it gorgeous.